Welcome to the Intellectual Freedom Movement. I'm your host, Harvey Dent, and tonight I want to talk about the man that's still talking, but he doesn't have a name, he doesn't have a face, he doesn't even have a life. The guy died almost a year ago. Now, depending on where you get your news from, you may or may not have heard of this story. A 42-year-old ICE, Customs and Immigration agent, walked into Pier 40 in New York and shot himself in the head. Well, again, it all depends on where you get your news from, and even the most reputable of stations or news sources, I guess, sometimes make mistakes or misquotes. I mean, here ABC reported that Hillary Clinton died in the hospital. Oh, and then we got, Mr. Trump, who tells the court, I'll see you in court then. We go in court, fight this Muslim ban. And then look, Clinton tweeted, that 3-0, hey, yeah, we're winning. That's yoo-hoo for her team. But wait a minute, I thought she's dead. See, so in just that short amount of time, I brought a dead Clinton into 2017 and have her tweeting. See. And before I get to the meat of the story, let me burst any of you guys' bubbles that think Trump is here to save the day. The Treasury Secretary, Mnuchin is his name, I believe. He is Soros's boy. It's more of the same. It's just a different face, that's all. All right, now let's get back to these news. Now, when this ICE agent went to the pier and shot himself in the head, there were a few news stations that reported. Let's see, New York Post reported ICE agent fatally shoots himself in the head at Pier 40. Breitbart, I believe. Yeah. Breitbart also covered it. ICE agent shoots himself blocks from his New York City office. There were there were a few other local websites that covered it, but CNN didn't cover it. ABC, CBS, NBC, none of those stations touched it. But then this report came out. ICE agent commits suicide in NYC, leaves note revealing government plans to round up and disarm Americans during economic and bank collapse. Now, this story was by some Station 95 in New York, and it was like, okay, well, this is just conspiracy theory, right? Well, you run a search, and okay, well, there's one screen of results. Oh, shit, it's 2. Oh, shit, 3, 4 screen. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. So the way that I usually get my news, and most of my friends always wonder, hey, man, how the hell, how do you know all this, or how do you get your stories with from what's not even reported? You come up with your own version of a story. It's like, well, because I've always, I'm a researcher, I'm an analyst, so I always go and pool multiple sources to try and get a general consensus of what the story is trying to be told. And then you have to do further research in order to filter out the bullshit, because what groups are going to report what and what groups aren't. So considering that every mainstream media tool did not cover this story at all outside of New York. I mean, they didn't touch on it at all outside of New York. And the fact that every non-mainstream media news outlet was reporting it would lead me to believe that the story is probably more true than false, okay? Which is the only reason why I'm going to present what this man left in his letter before he died. And yeah, let's see what he's talking about. The America I grew up in and cherished has been murdered by its own federal government. Our Constitution has become meaningless and our laws politicized so badly that they are no longer enforced except for political purposes, the note said. Our elected officials are, to a person, utterly corrupt and completely devoid of any love or respect for the country which pays them. To them, everything is about getting and keeping power and making illicit money from backroom deals. I was hired to enforce the law, to capture and deport people who come to this country against our laws. But now, if I dare do that, I face being suspended or fired because our president refuses to faithfully execute the duties of his office. Instead, I come to work each day and collect a paycheck twice a month for intentionally doing little to nothing. I cannot and will not be party to this fraud, to this usurpation of the law, or the despicable politicians betraying our nation. The note continued. If the American people knew what this government is planning, they would rise up and overthrow it. If I, or anyone else in the federal government, revealed what is coming, we would be killed anyway. So now I will reveal what I know. We in federal law enforcement have been drilling for several years to control riots and uprisings from a coming financial collapse and widespread bank failures. The drills involve life-size images of American men, even women and children, whom we are told to shoot for practice and to get used to it. We've been told that the economy is terminally ill and will fail in 2016. Well, it's 2017 now. We are also told that the banks are all insolvent and the FDIC doesn't have nearly enough funds to bail out depositors. We are told these events are unavoidable and it is imperative that the government survive when people rise up over this. When the collapse takes place, detention camps created under the FEMA REX-84 program in the 1980s to house illegal aliens whom we were going to deport will instead be used to imprison American citizens whom the government feels constitute a threat. American citizens will be rounded up without warrants and imprisoned without trial for God knows how long. These camps have been equipped to carry out Hitler-style type executions. An actual purge of American citizens by the one that created the damn government. So, I cannot be a party to this. He also went all into detail about how the federal government is basically disarming the state government or the state National Guard. So, well, not disarming them, but giving them lower power ammunition, while the Department of Homeland Security and other agencies are buying up all these hollow point rounds, millions of hollow point rounds. The reason for the need for rounds is, for training exercises. Well, anyone that goes to a range knows you don't use hollow points in drills or in training. You have dummy rounds or range rounds. Even if you are using live rounds, you wouldn't be using live rounds. Just the fact that the Department of Homeland Security has secured so many millions of hollow point bullets, removing similarly volatile weaponry from the public market. You probably can't even buy any hollow point bullets now if you go try and get some. Should raise the flag. The hollow points are used to destroy whatever they hit. They go in and explode literally, and they blow apart. It's really nasty. Again, it all depends on, what you believe is real news versus fake news versus filtered news, because filtered news should also be classified as fake news because they are purposely not reporting a story in order to not lead the reader or viewer into the other story, which is more prevalent and more, there's more hits on it. So had CNN, NBC, ABC, Fox, reported about this ICE agent going in and killing himself, which none of these networks reported it at all, okay? Then it would have driven people to see the other stories about the note. So they just didn't report it at all. See? So that's how I was able to determine that this story may be partially true, because they refused to touch it when there were other, reputable news sources that did touch it, but left that one key point out about the note, and then hundreds of other independents touched it and left the part about the note in. So you take what you want from this video, but I just wanted to ask any of you, do you happen to know the agent's name? Because, the name was never released, and after the reports went out, the story just fell to the wayside. There was nothing else about it. So I have the ICE for New York City's number, for the public relations, I believe, and I'm going to call them in the morning and see if I can get that agent's name. I think it's pretty fucked up that they let this guy die. I mean, even if he did, whether he had or didn't have a note, the man deserves the name, right? So I'm gonna call in the morning and try and find out if they can give me a name to attach to this agent that took his own life on May 6th, 2016. Now, if he did it because of the reason he said, then damn, brother, you should have stayed and fought with us. We could have used you. But and if it was a hoax, y'all need to quit playing with people's emotions, because just the details of it are so in line with some of the conspiracy theories. But then again, so is the FBI's definition of a sovereign citizen. It's in line with everything that we believe is actually fact. They put it out there right in front of the public for the public to laugh at, and look at, they think this and they feel that, but they never once bring forward a fact that can refute anything that the sovereign citizen thinks or feels. They just basically put it out there because it's so outlandish and wild and crazy that any normal person wouldn't believe it, because it's that outlandish and crazy. But what's not outlandish and crazy are the links that evil people will go to in pursuit of power and their money. And that's what this is all about: control and power of a civilization. By who? Not by her. That's like saying Trump is the head of our civilization, but she's one of those, she's one of the higher level puppets. Anyway, if you like what I'm doing here, why don't you go ahead and click that like button. You want to like it. Subscribe, share, comment, dislike. Do something so your brothers and sisters know that you're alive out there. Don't go and walk off no damn marina or pier and, take your own life because you can't deal with this government and its evil plans. Until you find your truth, keep looking.